second-hand from their older sister, Edith, who did reside in London, was that Maud thought that Gemma actually cared about the habits and scandals of people she did not know. After about 20 minutes, in which time she'd circled the sprawling 3-story house completely, she decided she would not be able to endure the icy wind for a full hour unless she took herself to somewhere the wind was not. She did not relish only standing idle in the east side of the house, buffeted from the wind. She needed to keep moving to stay warm. This saw her changing direction, making new tracks in the shallow carpet of snow, toward the small woodland that separated the house from the greater timberland, from which her father earned so much of his wealth. She did not intend to stray far, as a few skirmishes had very recently taken place, within only miles of their home, as they were situated precariously close to the English garrisoned at Roxburgh and Berwick. The snow was of the softly fallen variety, and did not crunch under her feet, and inside the evergreen, birch and rowan trees, the silence was almost eerie, save that it signified the lack of wind, for which Gemma was appreciative. She breathed deeply of the crisp air, and slowed her pace now, as there was no need for briskness to counter the cold. She had not gone far inside the woodland when she noticed a disturbance upon the ground. Markings and tracks of what, she could not say, but too large to be only that of any critter who might make his home in any of these trees. Gemma moved around the trod-upon and displaced snow, seeing actual footprints of the upright human variety, and what looked to be wobbly lines in the snow. She wondered if Edric, Horcroft's gardener, was out and about, and perhaps with that feeble little cart he normally pulled along behind him, which was rarely filled with anything save for a few necessary tools, and more often than not a flask. But no. There were prints belonging to more than one person, close set, with the crooked lines between them, as if something were being dragged. Gemma stopped and glanced up and back along those tracks, and then noticed other prints, which she judged to belong to horses, more than one, muddying the other marks. A splotch of red caught her eye, and she moved toward that, peering down into the white snow to see that it was dotted with blood. Having no idea what she might find, except for some person in need, Gemma followed the footprints, which moved as straight as possible through the trees, noting only occasionally more blood, bright upon the snow. She hadn't gone far, not more than another 30 or so feet, when she came around the snow-covered, ground-sweeping limbs of a majestic evergreen, and was startled by the sight of 3 men and 2 horses, one of the former slumped against the trunk of a hardy birch, his face dropped to his chest, but clearly wrenched in pain. Her gasp was audible, and turned the faces of the 2 men hovering over the apparently injured man toward her. Immediately, they straightened and squared themselves against her. One of them, with a grey beard and red-rimmed blue eyes, set his filthy hand onto the hilt of the sword sheathed at his hip. In response, Gemma's frightened reaction was to draw her short and likely ineffective pruning hook from the basket over her arm. She held it close to her chest, the blade visible. The other standing man, who wore a fur hat and owned frigid brown eyes, curled his lip at her. Of the injured man, she had only the impression that he was as large as either of his comrades, and was also the source of the blood droplets she'd trailed, though she could see no obvious injury. Little of his face was available to her inspection, as he'd not lifted it at her coming, so that she knew only that it was nearly as white as the snow. He was cloaked in a great fur, mayhap bequeathed by the man at his side, in deference to his condition. "Aye, and you keep moving," said the grey-bearded man. "And say you saw nothing." "He is wounded," she said.